Welcome back to Inside Oakland County. I'm John Scott, and joining me today is Oakland County Deputy County Executive and Chief Information Officer Phil Bertolini. Hey Phil, thanks for taking time out of your day to come join us today.
Happy to be here, John.
Great. We want to talk a little bit about some of the things we're doing here in Oakland County with regards to cybersecurity and maybe this new cyber assessment tool. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about the assessment tool and how that got started and where we're going from here on that to begin with?
I'd be happy to, but first I think what we need to talk about as well is why are we doing this?
That's true.
Yeah, and why are we doing cybersecurity? And the world around us has changed so dramatically over the last couple of years that we've seen major attacks on major institutions. We've all seen what happened with Target. We've all seen what happened with Home Depot. There's some talk about the Russian hackers have taken over 1 billion credentials from people. Oh. So they're out there trying to take data en masse. And what we're trying to do in government is protect the gates. So how do we make sure that we have the protections in place and are using the best practices that we have available to us to protect our data?
Sure.
So what we did is, we've been working with a Chief Information Security Officer. We hired one on staff about 18 months ago and just recently made him a full-time individual. So I appreciate the Commissioner's support on that.
Yes.
But when we brought him in, we started assessing our cybersecurity because we always had controls in place. But the world was changing. So what did we have to do to change with it? So we started making the changes we needed to and started assessing our needs.
Okay.
But at the same time, we looked out and saw that other size governments weren't doing that. They didn't know what to do, so they didn't know what they had. Many cases didn't know what to do, and then they needed to find a way to get there. So how do I get there from here? So we created, when we actually worked with 5 counties, it was five counties totals in the state of Michigan.
Sure.
It was Wayne County, Washtenaw County, Monroe, Livingston, and Oakland. And then we worked with the Department of Technology Management Budget up at the state of Michigan. And we created the cybersecurity assessment for everyone.
Okay.
It's a very easy to use cybersecurity assessment that allows people within an hour to figure out where they are. Then they can score themselves based on criteria in the assessment tool. They can find out what they need to do. And then they can also look at links to find out where they can get help. So there's a couple reasons why local governments have not had cybersecurity assessments in many cases. 1, they don't know what they need.
Right.
Or 2, they're kind of afraid of what they don't know. Because once you know about where you are in cybersecurity and what you need to do, you have to do something about it. It's not something that you can just say, oh, I didn't know. So, I mean, the other thing too is it's not if we'll get attacked, it's when we will get attacked.
Correct.
And that means somewhere down the line, someone's going to have a camera in their face and is going to be asking them, why did the data from XYZ municipality get breached? And they're going to have to answer those questions. And that's what we're trying to do, make it easier for governments to do that, not just rely on the private sector, but have governments take care of themselves and then seek help and get counseling and get people to help them do what they need to do to get it done.
Right, and it's very important that we do that. I mean, all the time, whether we're using our own credit cards, our own debit cards, we're always in danger of having that compromised. I know I've had to change a credit card a couple times because I've gotten the email from American Express saying, hey, did you buy this, or are you in Florida and buying a dinner here, when in reality I'm still up here in Michigan. So I've had that taken just on my cell phone.
Sure.
Now, one of the other things, we get a lot of emails. My email for scottj@oakgov comes through, and there's some junk in there, but you tell me, you get away with a lot of stuff before we even see it.
Yeah, 85% of all the email that comes into the county is dumped at the filters before it ever gets to the inboxes of the county employees.
Okay.
And that's so much spam out there. There's so many phishing attacks. So for the folks that are out there watching that are senior citizens, that's a big target for phishing attacks, and that's phishing.
Right.
And what they're doing is they're trying to get their personal information. So it's hey, your Social Security check's going to come, but we need to update your account. So can you give us your social number, your address, and some personal information about yourself? And all they're doing is they're trying to steal their identity. Now there's a type of data out there, it's called PII, or personally identifiable information. That's what the hackers are after. Because what they'll do is they'll take that PII data, they'll combine it with other data they found somewhere else, and that's how they steal your identity.
Right.
Now when you think about governments, and one of the issues that we run into is we're all interconnected today. So many governments are connected to each other. For instance, here in Oakland County, all of the cities, villages, and townships are connected to Oakland County via fiber.
Okay.
And then we're also connected to 150 public safety agencies in 5 different counties. When you have all that connectivity, then we need to make sure that everybody's looking at cybersecurity, because we can have all the gates and doorways up we want, but if someone else has left the gate open, then we have to worry about that. So certain controls are being put in place, and we've had controls in place for many years. But on the side that you brought up, I think that's very interesting, is the personal side. There's so many things that people could do to protect themselves. Change your passwords every 30 to 45 days. Make your passwords complex. That means use characters and capital letters and numbers. Don't give out personal information when people don't need it. You know, no one's ever going to connect with you on the web and say, I need to update your bank account, so give me your bank account number and your password. That's never going to happen.
No way.
That's never going to happen, so don't do it.
Exactly.
When in doubt, don't answer. And no one ever calls you on the phone to try to do that either. So there's no reason to make that happen.
I know I've seen those come by. They've come into my, and I mean, they even have the logo and everything looks just like it's part of it. And I just figure I'm going to ignore this, because if somebody really wants to get a hold of me, they'll use snail mail in the end.
Well,
and even the institutional contact.
Exactly, but the federal government, I mean, even the IRS has been spoofed.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is they're sending out fake information from the IRS to people. And one of the big scams that's out there today is they're filing tax returns on people's behalf. So then when the real person goes to file their tax return, there's already a return filed and the refund has already been given to someone, and off they go. And it's all because they're giving up personal information.
Right.
Let me give you another stat that's very interesting. 95% of all cyber attacks are people related. They're not technology related. That means someone has lost their password, or someone has put a sticky square up on their technology, you know, their monitor that has their passwords on it. Or they've gone to a website and they clicked on the wrong link, and now there's malware that gets put back onto their PC. And there's things that are called keyloggers, where you can be in there working on your PC and people can be watching all your keystrokes, getting your passwords and usernames. So a couple things. One, you know, make sure you're protecting your data and protecting your identity. Second thing is you shouldn't be doing banking over an open public Wi-Fi connection.
Right.
You shouldn't be doing anything confidential over an open Wi-Fi connection, because people can hack that. So just take those steps, and there's training out there for people. There's security type training websites that are out there, and people should be trained and know what to look for. Another great example, I went to a seminar once where a gentleman walked through the airport and he was able to look over people's shoulders and steal all their personal information, because they sit in a chair in the terminal and they've got their laptop popped up and they're doing their work. Well, who do we know who's watching that screen?
It's true.
So take care of yourself.
Yeah, that's protecting us personally. Let's get back to this
Sure.
SciSafe, we're calling it. I know you rolled it out. I got it right over here to West Bloomfield immediately, so that they got it to their IT people. But this thing is taken off like wildfire, isn't it? What do we have going with this?
We launched September 15th. So we launched two things at once. We launched our G2G marketplace, which is a marketplace for governments to come together and share technologies and be able to purchase technologies through a ease of procurement process.
Sure.
So we had that. So the G2G marketplace is there, and inside the G2G marketplace was SciSafe, and we allowed governments to come in and download it for free. And some of the stats I've had, over 100 different governments across the nation have downloaded it. They represent over 30 different states.
Wow.
And in Michigan alone, there's 40 different communities that have come in and downloaded the SciSafe tool. Again, it's an easy to use tool. It's based in Excel, so it's not a hard technology, and then they can take it within an hour.
And then that helps them, once again, update their system and go from there.
Well, what it does too is, so there's really three pieces. And remember, when we talked a little bit earlier, was what do you have? So it helps them assess what they currently have in place.
Right.
And it says, what do you need? And the assessment tool actually orders what they need for them. It puts it in a 1 through whatever, so they know what to work on. And then it allows them tools to go out and get help. And what I worry about are those little townships or little cities that are out there in the middle of Michigan somewhere that don't have the wherewithal because they don't have the people to be able to work with on cybersecurity. So by having this tool, they can take the assessment, and then they can contact us in the 5 counties in the state of Michigan and get some consulting that we can help them do the work they need to do.
Cool.
Private sector companies do this quite a bit, but governments are a little leery of that because maybe they're wondering if they're just going to be sold a technology, but now they can do it on their own and then go seek out the technology.
Seek out the technology to help them solve
You
it.
bet.
Because, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, sacred numbers like Social Security numbers are stored in government files. Our driver's license number. These are two of the things that people use to come at you. And so if our systems at not only the county but all the way down to the local city, village, the township aren't protected, it could be a very, very large breach, probably much larger than what you would get with a Target or a Home Depot or one of those deals.
Well, see, Target and Home Depot, the problem is they have millions of credit card pieces, right? And once you get credit card data, you can mash it up with other data and steal people's identities. So that's bad. But when you talk about government data, we have to do the best we can to manage the walls, because no matter how well you do at this, someone's going to breach. And for instance, the Department of Homeland Security hired a company to do background checks on their employees. The company got hacked, and all the background checks of the employees for the Department of Homeland Security were breached. I mean, anyone can get breached, the Department of Defense. So now what we have to do, those couple things. One, protect the gate as best we can, but also manage risk, because some things need to be protected more than others. And then be ready to recover, because it's going to happen. Now, how do we recover, and how do we message that out so that people still have faith that we can do the business of government and still be safe? Now, the problem with some governments not knowing is they can't answer those questions in the long run. They don't have the policies or the guidelines in place, and then they struggle to survive.
Okay, so then this program will help.
And this gets them started. It allows them to do the assessments they need to do, and then they can bring in partners to help them get the rest of the way.
Right. It's just very critical. So
yeah, it sure is.
What else is going on with IT over at the county? I know we got a lot of fun stuff everywhere. Tell us just a little bit about what's going on. What's going on with you? I know down at NACO, National Association of Counties, people all wanted a piece of you while you were there, and you were speaking, and you got some other things. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Yeah, we're doing some really cool stuff. And government IT is not always looked upon as being innovative. Well, we're one of the more innovative counties in America. And what we try to do is we're not going to be on the bleeding edge of technology, because that's very expensive and very difficult to be out there. But we want to be on the front edge of the curve. That means we want to be bringing technologies to the marketplace quicker, because what we do with technology is deliver services to people. And if you think about why we're in government to begin with, it's to help people and to serve people. So what we do is provide these technologies that the departments and divisions of county government can do to provide service. So we've been sharing technologies with other governments for many years, and we've been a provider of shared technologies. And so what we wanted to do was push that even farther. So we started our own cloud initiative. It's called G2G Cloud Solutions. The reason we created this brand is because not every government wants another government's name stamped all over its technologies.
True. Yeah.
So we use G2G, and we do online payments and over-the-counter payments and some web work there. And then we launched the G2G Marketplace, where we're partnered with the private sector to bring contracts in for security as a service, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and we're bringing those into the marketplace, pre-negotiating the contracts, so a smaller government doesn't have to go out and do a bid, find out what's out there, go through all the analysis, write a contract. We've done that on their behalf, and so that's all launched. But amongst all of this, those are the kind of fun, cool, front-facing things.
Sure.
We also serve 82 departments and divisions of county government.
Correct.
And we provide the technologies they need to deliver their services. And we take that as our primary function, and all the shared services are what we're enabling to help other governments, but at the same time lower our cost to provide the technology by negotiating contracts. And so that's all good stuff.
I see that. I mean, look at for instance, the courts now, the way they use this stuff, and our technology to do it. The video arraignments, things like that that didn't exist long ago. And then we got another group that I know we got, Clemis.
Sure.
Clemis is a great help, and that's
one of the largest law enforcement data consortiums in the nation.
Right.
Courts Law Enforcement Management Information System, 150 public safety agencies in 5 different counties in Southeast Michigan, all sharing technology. But John, something you guys have been working on for many years in cooperation with L. Brooks Patterson, our county exec, is being financially responsible.
Oh yeah.
And to do that in the tough times, we had to make some sacrifices.
Yes, we did.
Our employees sacrificed some of their pay.
Right.
Our departments and divisions had to sacrifice human resources. In other words, when the positions became empty from attrition,
that's correct,
we weren't allowed to fill them. So all this time we were struggling to provide quality county services. And one of the ways that we were able to survive was enabling technologies that the county has invested in over many years to deliver those services.
Right.
We never come to you at the Board of Commissioners without a return on investment analysis and why we're doing what we're doing. And we plan our master plan very carefully to deliver the best services we can. And it's because of our working relationship between the board and the county administration that we're able to drive deeper into delivering quality services with less human resources. We're down almost 300 positions in county government, yet we're still delivering quality services. And now, based on the recent votes, we're balanced for the next 3 years with our county budget, and looking out 2 years beyond that, we're balanced as well. So it's good stuff.
The amazing thing was, of course, I'm chairman of the HR committee, and I sit on the finance committee, so we see these things in the numbers. We saw what was going on with HR, with our problem. The last thing we wanted to do was go above our 4.19 mils. We wanted to freeze that in there, yet we did not want to give less service. The employees were great. I'll tell you, they came, they understood the situation. They took that, what was it, 4.5% pay cut?
It was a 4% over a 2-year period.
And so they're down.
But they also had healthcare related changes too.
Exactly.
So it was more than 4%.
Yeah, you got that. We got the co-pays and the healthcare. One of the things that I always tell people about Oakland County is we're a defined contribution employer. And for those of you watching, if you don't know the difference, a defined contribution is like those of us in the private sector. We have 401ks, we put money in, the employer matches it. It's the same with Oakland County government. We do that, and then when it came to health care, you get a copay, a payroll deduction to help pay for that premium, because the premiums have gone through the roof. I know where I work on the day job, we just had, again, another big increase because of the Affordable Care Act has now pushed us into another more costly program that we had to, and employees are paying.
You think about these changes, and the board's been proactive about making these changes. And I know the county executive, who's been a fantastic county executive for us for over 21 years, has always wanted to bring forward financial stability. I mean, he wants to make sure that we're financially stable, we're working hard on economic development because everything starts with a job, and we're using the right technologies to do what we have to do. But that's not easy stuff to do. And it took a lot of work, and we had to make sure, for instance, even on the healthcare side, past 2006, there's no more retiree health care for new employees. They get an HSA. So now when an employee leaves Oakland County, they take their defined contribution retirement, they take their HSA, and they go. There's no legacy cost for Oakland County. And if we all saw what happened to the auto industry, and we watch what happened to other governments, legacy costs are what's going to bring them to their knees.
I preach this all the time because, and the funny thing is, not funny, but the fact is this actually started prior to Brooks in the beginning. Back in the 80s, we started slowly getting out of it.
And making sure the pensions were funded and the health care was funded.
And then Brooks came in, and after that we went to the defined contribution plan and eased out of the defined benefit, which has been fantastic for us. And like you say, if it weren't for the IT, we couldn't be doing what we do today with less people. I mean, we just couldn't afford it, and we know that the taxpayers don't need another government agency reaching in their pocket.
In tough economic times, this county invested.
Yes.
See, the people don't realize, but we didn't just shut the doors and hunker down and get into a bunker.
No.
When we were going through that recession, we invested, and we continued to invest in technologies. So now what we have is the ability to change the way we deliver our services, deliver them in a more quality manner, at the same time have less human resources. Now there's people out there that would say, well, you replaced jobs with technology. No, the jobs were going away. We had no choice. We lost 30 or to almost 35% of our tax revenue. You can't keep status quo. You can't live on your fund equity and then hope things will be better in the future. And we saw that happen in many different places in Michigan. So we're excited about providing the best technology we can, but knowing it's still a long road. The battle over cybersecurity is going to rage on for years, and we're going to be right in the thick of things waging that battle.
Yeah, and I remember when I first got elected back in 2002, we came on board, and there were some commissioners that still gave IT a hard time about spending money on some things, and fortunately they weren't successful in stopping it, and so we were fortunate enough to be able to understand what you were trying to do, and I think now we've got pretty much all 21 commissioners are on board with what we're trying to do in the technology side to grow this. So
well, and you guys, and all credit due to what the partnership we have, because the county executive administration can't do this without the board of commissioners in partnership, and so we've appreciated and respected that partnership over the years. But every time a question gets asked of us, it allows us also to sharpen our pencil. So the other thing that's good about government, and especially Oakland County government, is it's run like a business in many cases.
It is.
There's ROIs, there's business cases made, and we have to prove it. And it's not just, I think it's a great idea, let's try it. We don't want to bring that to you. What we want to bring are, these are the good ideas that are out there. We want to be innovative and let's go. And by the way, here's the business case to make it happen. That's what's different about us.
People like me, who I'm really in the private sector, this is the part-time, we're there to kind of just ask, to be the checks and balances on it. And many of our commissioners have a day job, many of them run businesses, so they know what we're doing and can ask the hard question of you guys. It's not just a bunch of bureaucrats making decisions. It's true, I guess, the grassroots involvement in how heck we run the county. You come up with great ideas and we help you get to where we got to be.
And I think the team at Oakland County, being inclusive of the county executive, the board of commissioners, the elected, countywide elected officials, and then you look at the people that work for us and work with us. That's a better word to say. They're incredible people. And we've had some people that have been with us for 30, 40 years, and then we've had some people that are new to us in recent hiring. But all I know is when they come together and they're able to put their heads together and do good stuff, we can really make change. Someone asked me a question a while back. They said, would you rather be a leader in the mid-90s when you were flush with cash, or would you rather be a leader today? And I picked today all day long. And the reason is we're making more change now in government than we could have ever had made when the budgets were thick. Because why? Because we had to. And then second thing is we were proactive. You know, Brooks was making budgetary changes back in 2003. You know, there's many budget reductions that happened way before the recession ever hit. And that's proactive. And he's worried about where the county's going to be 10 years from now, which everybody can respect because he knows he might not be here 10 years from now, but he wants to make sure we're set for the next 10.
And that's why I like our rolling budget and the fact that we just did this thing. So we're
one of the few counties in America that do it.
We're up to 2017 now?
Yeah, we're balanced now for 15, 16, and 17, and the numbers are showing that 18 and 19 are looking balanced as well.
Good. So hey, Phil, thanks for joining us today. I mean, it was a great thing, but how can people get more information? What websites, what do we have at the county they can get more stuff from?
John, that's a great question. There's a couple different websites where they can find that information. First, our main site at www.oakgov.com.
Right.
But there's also another website that when we launched our marketplace, it's www.g2gmarket.com, so g2gmarket.com, and they can find more information about our initiatives.
That's great. They can do that, and then of course you can always contact me at scottj@oakgov.com. Hey, I'm Oakland County Commissioner John Scott, and I want to thank you for watching Inside Oakland County.